How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. On today's episode, it's going to be a vulnerable one. It's podcast number 50, and what that means is I'm going to give you some old school confidence on this podcast today. I feel like there's been things that I've been holding back from y'all, like some real vulnerable truths about my life, and I want to share those with you. I do have some audience questions that I'm going to go through in the second half of the podcast, so it's going to be a little bit more light and some fun, right? But, today I think today's going to be my diary day. I've really been, again, like I said, holding back a lot of things from y'all, and I think I need to just get into it. So I was just on the phone with I call my best friend. I told him that the other day. I texted my friend Jay. I said, you know what? You're my best friend for life. Like, I love you. I said that to him directly. Because he really is. Like, honestly, he's one of the best people I've ever met on the fucking planet. And he's the person that I go to when I don't feel right? I'm not feeling myself. And to be honest, I haven't really been feeling myself for a little bit of time now. Honestly, I'm just going to be real. Like, since July, I haven't been the same person. I really haven't. When I look at my work, I really focused on the podcast a lot, but, I haven't posted as many car vlogs. My energy has been different. I've been way less personal with the stuff that I've been making. And to be honest, I think really what it starts with is, I feel like I've been putting up a little bit of a front for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I've been coming up here, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely all authenticity when I sit on this chair, and I'm being very real. But I think there's parts of me, the deepest parts of me, that I've been resisting talking about, because it's been really hard. It's hard to share all these things in the moment. And I had a lot of pressure building on me for a really long time. And I think it's just really time for me to let that stuff out. So I'm just going to be real. The last 2.5 months, I haven't felt right. I haven't felt like my same happy-go-lucky self. I tell you guys, I rate my mood 0 to 10 every single day. I haven't hit a single day that is a 10. I did it one time in the last 2.5 months. You know how weird and rare that is for me? Very strange. I'm a high grader. You know what I'm saying? Most of my days, I have so much to be grateful for. And it's so hard for me to even believe in myself that I'm not feeling right. Because I'm just like, how could I feel that way? I'm so blessed. You know what I'm saying? I have a beautiful home. I've got a fucking beautiful car. I've got beautiful friendships. A lot of great things in my life. So it's very difficult for me to sometimes sit around and feel or show up to myself in a bad mood. But the truth of the matter is, I haven't been right. I've been resisting a lot. And that resistance kind of came out this past week. So, obviously, as you guys have been listening to for a very long time, I had this situation with the long distance girl. And, for a time there, right after the heartbreak episode, right, I was talking about it a lot, and I recognize I'm like, this is not what I want to make my content about. I don't want it to just be this sob story. That's how I kind of was feeling a little bit, right? Very repetitive of, the ways that I was feeling guilty or, I fucked up or whatever. Time went by, and don't get me wrong, I've definitely had my moments where I've been like, fuck that girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? If she tried to come back, fuck all that. But really festering underneath all of that and festering underneath the podcast and all these things was, I did feel bad, honestly, my ego was shattered. Truth. And honestly, my heart's been shattered. Also truth. And it's weird because I haven't gone through a heartbreak like this, since I was probably 25 when I had some other girl, and I actually saw her the other day, which is kind of trippy, but, it just kind of felt like it slipped out of my hands and I couldn't get it back, and that kills you, right? And ever since then, anybody I've ever dated, right? They were cool, they were great, but they just weren't really for me. And I was doing the same old bullshit I've been doing, which is dating for ego, right? Dating for this idea of okay, you could help me get to where I need to go, but I don't know if you're the final stop for me. And honestly, most of the women that I've dated since that age of 25, I have honestly probably felt like that in some capacity where it's you're cool, but are you really everything that I want? Every single time I get somebody that I want, quote unquote, it was almost just it felt good. and then I would ride it out for a little bit. And I just want them to show up for me in a certain way. And then if they're not doing that, see you later. And to be honest, I think for a really long time between this period, I've really dated from an egotistical place, right? I was using a lot of these women that I've been dating probably more for validation and the utilization of them rather than for pure love, right? Like I could look at some of those past partners and be like, yeah, I knew I didn't purely love them. I knew that there was things that I felt that maybe weren't right. But again, in the moment, it just felt good. It just felt good to have them around. It just felt good to have somebody prop me up and show me some self-acceptance and some love, while I, was on my journey to get to where I wanted to go. So, in this past relationship, I showed up a little different, right? I was different when I met this person. Like, I think I knew I did want something deeper, but obviously circumstances being, we were long distance, it was hard. And I kind of did the same thing to her, right? Like, it wasn't working for me. She wasn't here enough, right? I was making her try to fly out here all the time. I didn't go fly back. I essentially broke it off with her and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna go do my thing, continue to work, continue to grind, continue to make it to the next level. Cause that's all I gave a shit about. She really tries, right? She's just consistent. She's showing back up. Maybe it's validation for her too. And I think that's really what it was. When I look at this past relationship, like as much as there was like this true love there, I really do believe that. I think that there was real love on both sides. I don't know if we really loved each other for the right reasons, just to be honest, right? Like, I think part of me really loved her for the consistency and for how much she loved me. Think about what I've just been talking about, which is like most of the women I've dated, it's like the things that I liked about them were the ways that they showed up for me, not like looking at them and saying, oh, wow, I really appreciate like who you are. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh my God, like I didn't appreciate her at all. That's not true at all. There was obviously things I really loved about this girl and every single person I've dated. I got to that place eventually. But again, to me, it wasn't based on the real values of, I think, the things that I genuinely wanted, at least in the moment, right? I wanted somebody closer. I wanted somebody maybe a little different in some ways. I'm not going to get into that. But after I kind of ran away, and I think I ran away from this girl for for authentic reasons. This girl like was making it very hard for me to see her. The only need I really had was wanting to see her. And I was like, yo, I can't do this. I can't just keep being in your life unlimitedly if you don't want to make the effort to create that time for me and whatever. And she wanted me to go slow, right? She was scared, right? And she was scared the entire relationship. And that's what the impasse was, right? It was like, I'm trying to speed it up because I just want you here, because I just want that love. You're being very resistant because you're really scared. You don't want to go too fast. You want to take your time. You don't know what you want to do. Then fucked up shit happens. And then it's me chasing it the entire time. And what's really crazy is I think that this whole relationship was a manifestation of how I feel now and how I have been feeling over the last 2 months, which is I feel like I've been stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that's how I always felt with this. It's like, wow, I really do love you on one hand, but you're not meeting my needs because you're just simply not here. And there's obviously things about this relationship that, again, aren't necessarily perfect. So it was always that clash, right? And I was always in that middle, right? Where I was like, I don't know. It was always this uncertainty, like, should I go back? Should I try? Should I not? And then some days I would wake up and I'd be like, yeah, I'll be patient for you. I'll wait. And then like 5 days later, I'm like, the fuck am I doing? Like, why the fuck am I waiting for somebody that is not ready for me to be in her life? And it was this constant battle, internal battle. Obviously, again, I'm doing the back and forth because that's how I genuinely feel. That's the truth. I'm genuinely back and forth and hot and cold, not because I'm an asshole or not because I'm really even avoidant. It's just because I didn't know what to do. Again, I'm not getting my needs met, but I fucking love you. Eventually it doesn't work. I tried to re-engage and she wasn't ready still. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't there. And that just frustrated me more. I stopped answering, right? I didn't say anything to her. And then as I go on my journey the last 2 months, like, yeah, I'm learning a lot. I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling guilty, right? I'm feeling all these things. And eventually I'm ebbing and flowing, right? You're going through a breakup. And I think one of the hardest things is like, it's waves, right? Like some days, like I said, it's like, whatever, I don't even care, right? I'm doing good. My business is flourishing. 3 days later, things aren't going as well. And then I'm like, oh, I fucking miss her. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? And I'm like, wow, this is how I've been feeling the entire time with this person regardless. So, the last few weeks, I was talking to my therapist, about this, and I'm like, hey, like, I still feel this way. Like, I still feel like if I would have shown up different or I'd been patient, like things could have worked. But I also know that we're still fucking, the problem's not resolved. The circumstances aren't different. And there was definitely things between us that I don't know if we're truly aligned. I'm having this conversation with my therapist and I'm like, I just don't know what to do. But like, to be honest, like, I feel like I still just care, right? Like he asked me, he was like, what would you even say to her if you even called her? One of the first days we were talking about this. And I was like, I would just turn around and be like, I love you. That's it. Like, I don't know what to do with that feeling. I don't know how that works. I don't know, how we make this work. It's just a feeling I have. And obviously he challenged me on that. He's like, how do you know that? You haven't spent that much time with her. And that's all valid. And again, there was a lot of things that me and him went over about values that I don't know if me and her aligned. But, it's just a feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's what it is. And I couldn't shake it as much as I was trying to. And over the last few months, right? Again, I've stayed away from the topic. I've stayed away from talking about this because I'm like, I don't want to bore my audience, or I don't want to fucking, even first off, what the real truth is? The real truth is like, I know this girl is watching. She's watching my TikTok. She's watching my podcast. And maybe she doesn't care that much. She I'll say this in a minute, but I actually did end up caving and calling her. But I kept seeing her name pop up on the stories on my TikTok. And there was part of me that felt like, man, she probably still cares, right? She's watching all my shit. And like, I'm just like, how could that love been invalid? Like, I know how much she cared. I know how much she tried as well. All this to say, it's like, again, I was going back and forth with my therapist on this, and I was like, I feel like I want to reach out. He's like, why aren't you reaching out? And I said, if you really want me to be honest, the reason I haven't reached out at this point is because it's pride. If you really want me to be real, it's pride, right? Again, I'm trying to, online, right? The way I'm presenting myself is like, I'm not talking about her. I'm not showing up on that way. The times that I do feel good, I'm trying to show that online. I'm not showing any of the parts of me that hadn't been feeling good. And, it was just festering. But anyways, that's what he asked though, right? He was like, what's the reason for not picking up that phone? If you've been feeling like this and you care this much, like, why have you not? And I said, yeah, it's pride. It's pride, right? Like, I don't want to go back to somebody that told me that they don't want to be with me, right? They don't want to see me. So I sat with it for a little bit. Again, I've been putting on this facade that everything is truly okay when, to be honest, it hasn't really been okay. And one last thing about that before I talk about even the phone call is like, that's what every day has been for me, to be honest. Like, again, there's some weeks where 4 or 5 days where I'm really thinking about it minimally and it doesn't really matter to me. And then the next 4 or 5 days hit like a truck. Can't sleep, waking up in the middle of the night. There's been a lot of days over the last 2.5 months that I've woken up and I've just felt empty. And I would just stare at my ceiling. You know what I'm saying? I'd wake up in my bed and I was just like, wow, like it really is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like it really is over. And here's the thing though, too. I guess the reason I was ruminating so much about it is because I didn't know that for a fact. I'm like, I kind of left her alone after that last day that I approached her about that. And I never said anything. And then again, she was watching all of my stuff. So a lot of these feelings I had in my body of like, maybe she's curious, maybe she does care, maybe she needed some time away from this situation to gather herself. So I think a lot of the reason that, again, it wasn't necessarily just sadness, it was also uncertainty. It was also confusion. And the problem is every day that I would wake up, it would just be a mental battle. You know what I'm saying? I'd go on my walk, battle. I'd come home, like even as recently as this week, right? Like in order to get my day started, I need to do a 40-minute meditation, an hour and a half meditation, just to allow the feelings to subside and the rumination to subside, just to move on and do something, just to shoot a video. And that's what's crazy is these last 2 months, I've been operating like that. No sleep, long ass days, just wondering what if, wondering, okay, is it because I fucked up or whatever? Finally, I hit a point where I was just like, if it's just been pride this whole time, you know what? Even if it's the answer is not what I want, I need to know the answer. You know what I'm saying? I need clarity. So I think this past Friday, I called her. And she didn't answer at first. She calls me back. And I was like, hey, how you doing? She's like, I could tell she's like very startled, unexpected. She's like, I did not expect to get this phone call. I was like, oh, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I kind of just laid it out to her. I said, hey, listen, like I still think about you every day. And, and she's like, yeah, I still, think about you too. And I do care. I was like, cool. I was just like, I don't know where to go from here. I understand, like, this isn't me asking for you back. I just feel like, again, I don't know how to, like, I don't know where to place these feelings and what to do with them. All I know is that I do feel this way. And, there's a lot of ways in which I didn't show up the right way. I didn't validate your feelings. I wasn't patient enough. And I kind of just laid it all out there. Like, just that I could have handled things a lot better. And, she said the same, right? Like, obviously, again, she was just like, Chris, it's not, what I'm saying? You're holding on to a lot more guilt than you probably need to. It's, it was both of us. It was the circumstances. You're a good person. But then she did tell me that she is seeing somebody else. And, I was like, listen, if you're open to a friendship and try to repair things, like, what do you feel about that? She's like, I'd be open to a friendship, but obviously right now I am talking to somebody. And I said, listen, I was like, if that's what makes you happy, then ultimately I need you to be happy. I want you to be happy. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. And that was pretty much it, right? That's a summary version, I guess. And I did tell her not to get pregnant. It's like, you better not get fucking pregnant. That's, the classic narcissism coming out. I was like, this is probably why she's tripped out in the first place. Although I will say this too. There was a moment where she was like, even just thinking about us talking again is giving me anxiety in my chest. And I was like, oof, that's a very telling moment, in a way. And I think a lot of it's because, again, it was the hot and cold. Like she, even said that, right? It's the up and down. It's the constantly lacking or providing that safety, right? Because she would try to repair things with me. And then I'd be like, no, I can't do this. I don't want to talk to you at all. And that's not really fair. And that's the lessons I have to learn. It is what it is. But obviously after that phone call, yeah, it fucking hurt feeling that. But honestly, I felt such a sense of relief that I haven't had in a really long time. And I'm so thankful that I picked up that phone and did that. And honestly, for anybody that is going through a no contact situation, you're feeling uncertain, the question I would ask you is this, is like, is the reason you're reaching out based on pride? Or is it because you actually know the answer and you need to hold a boundary? Because if you know the answer and need to hold a boundary, then don't say anything. But if you're uncertain about where things are at, and maybe you feel like there's not true closure or whatever. And I know, no contact or no effort is the closure. Like, what I'm saying? I knew what it was. And here's the other thing too. What were we really going to do? You know what I'm saying? I'd get back into the same thing. It didn't work in the first place. It's probably going to be the same result, but I just had to say it. You know what I'm saying? I had to express what I really truly felt, because if I didn't, all I'm going to do is continue to let this fester within me, right? This resistance that's festering. So yeah, now it's like, it's crazy. I do have that clarity. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now I could fully move on. Now I could fully let go. There's no more what ifs, right? The rumination in my life right now has really subsided. You know what I'm saying? Because it's no longer like, oh, what if? It's just like, okay, it is what it is. Like, yeah, that hurts a lot. But you just got to move forward. And again, I do truly believe that if it was the right situation, it really would worked out. And yeah, but here's the thing too. It's just like, even for me in my life right now, I think this is something that has been really hard, right? Like, I haven't wanted to be vulnerable online. It's hurt my business entirely, or just my life, right? Like my life's work. I've always wanted to be an internet personality. I tell you guys all the time. And I feel like I've really watered myself down because I've been having these feelings. I don't want to go online and fucking just smear all this stuff online. You know what I'm saying? It fucking sucks. And the fact that she gets to see all of it, like, think about this. If the reason that I didn't want to call her was for pride, think about the stuff and the things that I'm thinking about when I'm posting, knowing that she's watching it. It's really strange. It's like, imagine you break up with somebody and every day they get to just watch you at work. You know what I'm saying? That shit's hard, right? It's really fucking difficult in my life where it's so personal, and to be online and to be so vulnerable and to feel the way that I did, like, as a man, like, I don't want to show that. And honestly, egotistically, I didn't want to show that either, right? Because I don't want her to know that it's affecting me in this way. I don't want her to feel that way. But what is that? It's fucking ego. And that's why I've been feeling the ways that I have, is because I've been resisting that. The truth is, like, yeah, this is an ego blow. Yeah, this is a matter of my pride being hit. It really is. And yeah, honestly, it's just a tough time. What are you going to do? That just happens. This is part of life, right? Like, there's going to be winter. There's going to be times in life where, yeah, you get knocked down, honestly. And I'm just going to admit it. Like, I got fucking rocked. I literally got punched. And again, I can't even take fault for it. There's no fault to be had, right? It's not like, oh my God, I did it to myself. It's not that. I tried. I cared. I showed up. I was trying my best to be vulnerable. I was trying my best to make things work. That's the thing too. It's like, you could love somebody, but sometimes it really is just not the right situation. Sometimes they're really just not your person. And what can I do about that? I can't change what I feel. You know what I'm saying? I can't change how I am. I could try to think my way out of it, but that's just not how it works. And I've really tried to do that. You know what I'm saying? I've been learning so much. It's made me a better man. Honestly, this whole situation. And you need this pain in your life in order to become different, become better. But that's why it's like, it's been so fucking hard for me to, like, podcast. It's been hard for me to make videos. And I feel like there's just all this resistance to my work because here's what happened, right? Like, I was pushing her away so much because all I wanted to do was work. I'm like, I'm grinding. I got shit to do. Get out of my face. You're wasting my time. I'm not being able to prioritize myself. And you know what she said? All right, go do it. See ya. And now where am I at? Sometimes I stand in my living room and I sit there and I'm like, well, I got what I asked for. I wanted to be alone. All I wanted was my work. But that shit don't love you back. Your work's not going to love you back. The money's not going to love you back. The success is not going to love you back. The followers aren't going to love you back. And that was a lesson I had to learn. You know what I'm saying? She said, here's your ego. Go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? She said, nah, we're not playing that. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I needed that. I needed that to realize that, love to me is the most important thing. I could keep making money. I could keep getting followers, but that's not going to make me happy. And the problem is now that's all I have. All I have is this house. All I have is material things. Yeah, I have money. Like, and don't get me wrong, this actually really helped my friendships a lot because it really helped me lean into those a lot more. So I'm thankful for that. Like, I do have really great relationships in my life, but I do realize that the only thing that I genuinely want at this point in my life is love. It is a relationship. I do want that. And that really sucks. It really does suck when that opportunity that you feel like I did have somebody that did love me. And I did take it for granted. I did. Now, again, hindsight's always 20/20. In the moment, that's the thing is like, I can't look back at myself and be like, wow, Chris, you fucking suck. Cause I've been feeling guilty. And you could feel so guilty about it. But the reality is in the moment, I made the best choices that I could. I wasn't getting my needs met. It wasn't the right situation. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing I could have done to prevent this. Really, as much as I think that I could have, that I keep saying that like as if I controlled it. I didn't control it. I have no control whether or not she wants to show up and allow me to see her. I have no control whether or not I feel good about the situation. If I didn't feel good, that's why I left. But I could still love somebody and leave. And that's what happened. I kept leaving even though I did love her. And finally, she was just the one to actually end it and walk away. And again, it's just the ego blow. That's what it is. It's the ego blow. It's not about the situation being right. It's not about her being the love of my life. It's the ego being crushed. And recognizing like, I don't have control. As much as I thought I had control, I don't have control. And this is the importance of great boundaries. This is the importance of, just when things aren't right, like you got to put your foot down earlier. There's too many times early in that relationship where I knew I didn't want to do that distance and I kept letting it back in. And again, I can't fault myself because I'm going to say it again. I fucking loved her, and sorry, but love wins. You know what I'm saying? Like too many times in my life, I've followed my brain. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always been about the journey or the success. I just didn't follow my heart fast enough. I think that's what it comes down to. I wasn't vulnerable fast enough. And it's just a lesson, right? It's just a lesson in that way that from now on, next time I meet somebody where no matter what, like I know what values I'm looking for and I'm going to have really good boundaries around that. I'm thankful for that. But when love comes and finds me again, like I'm not going to let go this time. And I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be real. Like, yo, there's not a single game left in me anymore. There's not. I don't have a single game left in me. Like, here I am. I like you or I love you. And I'm going to show up. If I say I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock. If I tell you I'm not fucking anybody else, guess what? I'm not fucking other people. I know there's going to be hard times and hard days. I know that it's not going to be perfect. I know there's going to be times where I actually probably don't even feel like the relationship is right for me. Because that's what happened numerous times with this girl. There's so many times where I was just like, this isn't right for me. This isn't right for me. And I'm just creating this story and it's making me run away. But sometimes it's not about the values. Sometimes I get so caught up in like, it's the values. It's like everything's got to align. Like, can't love be enough sometimes? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hard part is like some part of me also feels like, yeah, let's say she does come back and we tried, right? Like, would I truly have been satisfied if we're not on the same page? And I guess I just don't know that answer. I think you have to have a balance, right? There has to be a balance of, you do have to have some values in alignment. You do have to be going in the same direction. You do have to have certain things where, they can meet your needs with ease, right? If somebody can't meet your needs with ease, I feel like you're really going to struggle in that relationship. And that's kind of what happened, right? It's like we couldn't easily meet each other's needs. The patience that she needed was like not something that I was prepared to give. And the energy that I needed, the presence, the support, she wasn't ready to give me that either. So again, it's like, I don't really know. But all I'll say is this is like, I think what I'm realizing is I'm more prone to running and to chalking up the relationship to not being that great versus staying and just trying to create safety even when it's not perfect. That's just, I know for me personally. And some people, I think it's the other way around. Some people, it's like you chase after anyone and anything that gives you that safety and that love, and you don't actually look at the values enough, right? And you don't actually set enough boundaries around those things because it is important, right? I know a lot of people that are in relationships where, they're in a relationship and it's safe and it's consistent and they're happy, quote unquote, but they complain to me every single week how they felt like, oh man, I wish they were more artistic. I wish they were more like me. I wish they were more entrepreneurial. I wish they were more like this. It just kind of feels sometimes like, it's good, but like we don't really see eye to eye on things and it's not that fun. So again, there's that balance. And again, I don't know exactly what the fine, here's the other thing too. Like as we're seeing right now, it's, nothing is perfect. Nothing is. And I don't think anybody has the answers. I think that's what it comes down to too. It's like no one has the answers. I think the biggest thing, like I said, in this situation and going forward though, is like from now on, like I'm just going to follow my heart. And yes, I got to use my head sometimes. But I think if I had to choose one for the rest of my life, I'll just keep choosing my heart. And I think I just get too heady sometimes. I intellectualize love way too much. Because again, like, yes, like success and all this other stuff is so important, but what is the most important thing in the world? What makes you wake up in the morning and love life? To me, what I didn't recognize was like, it was that love that was keeping me propped up. You know, it's the reason I want success. It's the reason I want to create and be who I am, because I want to find somebody that loves me for that depth, right? For my drive, for my ambition. They see the things that I'm doing and they just feel so strongly towards me. It's all for love. It's all for love. Everything I do is for love. And I think I do it out of love too. I really do. I really do. And I think that's what I'm saying is like, I've gotten away from that because, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like vulnerability is art, right? That's what it is. And the reason I haven't been as creative or as artistic lately is because I haven't been as vulnerable. I haven't been as real. I've had to resist the part of me that cares. And I've been doing that for so long. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like all this work that I've realized I've been doing in therapy and like the books and just the meditations and the contemplations and talking to my friends. It all just comes down to that. Just be real, no matter what. Even if I don't feel that great, just share it. Just be out. Tell them how it is. So that's where I'm at. Imperfect, a little down, slow mornings, don't feel as creative, feel a little bit of a block, feel some sadness, feel some emptiness. I feel weak. I don't feel as self-confident as I normally am. Makes sense, right? And that's just where I'm at in my journey right now. And there's nothing I can do to just force myself to change that. Although what I do find is that when I do express myself vulnerably, I think I do accelerate that process. I think I do make progress. I think I do move. And that's what I'm trying to say is like this phone call, bigger than trying to like get her back, was just an opportunity for me to be truly vulnerable about how I felt. And this podcast is that too. It's an opportunity for me to share with y'all that like, I'm fucking human and I did care and it does suck. And I am not feeling great sometimes recently. And as much as I'm a happy-go-lucky person and that's my baseline, it hasn't been that, but that's okay. Because I know I'm going to get back to that point at some point. It's like there is going to come a time where, and I think now especially, I've been feeling a little bit better energy. And that's honest, right? Before when I was saying that, it was kind of this like a little of a facade. Every single time I'm like, yeah, I'm better, I'm feeling better. It's like, yeah, I'll be better for that day. And then the next day we're battling. And maybe I'll experience more days like that, upcoming. But I find that the more that I share these feelings and the things that I'm doing and just being honest and just being real, and again, being real with her about how I felt, no matter the circumstance, like that just felt good. That felt good to just be real, because all I'm doing is avoiding the truth, right? It's lack of vulnerability is an avoidance of reality, and it doesn't feel good to live in that place. It makes you feel worse. It makes you question. It prevents you from being your full self. Because now I could fully move on. Now I could really say, hey, I fucking tried. I put everything I got that I was able to give. And the results don't matter. And I think that's really a great metaphor for life in general, right? Like even like when it comes to work or creativity, just pour your heart out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Like just let it all out there. Who fucking cares the result? Some people are going to love you. Some people are not. And that's just the reality, right? Like this girl, in some ways, I don't think she saw my true depth. You know, I think there was parts of me that I felt unseen. True. But it doesn't matter, right? I got to share what I truly feel no matter what. And that's the thing. It's like, that's what happens, right? When you post a video online, that's just the truth. Some people are going to look at that shit and be like, this dude sucks dick. You know what I'm saying? He's fucking ass. But that's just the reality. Is like, it's like, if you're going to find the people that are for you, if you're going to find that genuine love, it takes you being genuine yourself. It takes you showing up and being vulnerable in every aspect of life, work, relationships, friendships. You want a great, fulfilling life. You want to really, truly feel fulfilled and happy. You got to expose yourself. You got to take risks. You can't be scared of being disappointed. Like, yeah, of course, hearing that fucking sucked. But it got me to an extended place. It got me to a place where I'm like, wow, okay, now I can breathe again. Now I can let go. Now I can face the truth in my life and start over. And yeah, it's fucking hard, right? Again, like I was telling you, like when I stand in my living room and I'm like, well, all I got is my work again. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, it's time to make videos again. I'm like, fuck me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I just want to love somebody. You know what I'm saying? I want to wake up today. I want to fucking wake up next to somebody and, you know, just go to dinner and just relax and not worry about the world and not worry about the success anymore. I don't want to care. But I know that piece is also for me. And I'm going to get back to that. It's just that, you know, when you go through something like this, you don't feel good about yourself, right? Because you almost don't feel good enough, right? I question myself right now when I'm making a podcast or I'm shooting videos. I'm over questioning myself way too much. But the more that I'm honest, the more that I share this, I'm going to build up that strength again. I'm going to build up that callus again. I'm going to build up, you know, my self-confidence again. It takes time. And then at some point or another, I'm going to reach a new height and I'm going to get a new person and I'm going to find a new love. And like I said, this time I'm going to be prepared. This time I'm going to be ready. And guess what? That might not be forever either. And then I'm going to keep going again and again and again and again. All right, let's get into the questions. You know, I picked a funny question because I knew it was going to be a little heavy today. Here we go. I'm just going to do some rapid fire for you guys today. Let's keep the fire hot, right? First question. How do you find the clitoris? Bro, mystery to me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's new in every single cooch. I feel like that's how it works. No, to me, if I'm thinking about the clitoris, here's what I think about. I'm like, okay, I know it's on the north end. You know what I'm saying? It's in like the north hallway, like towards the top. You know what I'm saying? If they were like, you know, if you looked at it like a pair of lips, north, south, it's on the north end. I feel like it's not at the tippity top, but a little bit down. And you kind of like feel around there. What I like to do is like if my tongue is there, the best really way to really find it, in my opinion, and if this is wrong, that's fucking hysterical. That's hysterical. But I like to feel around with my tongue in there. And eventually I think you get to a place where like, you know, she'll squirm a little bit extra and you know you've made it to the right place. It's kind of like a treasure map. You know what I'm saying? Like X marks the spot. You just got to wiggle your way around up there on the north end and eventually you'll get to where you want to go. That's how I usually find it. Also, you could use your finger. And sometimes too, I like to pry it open like I'm a doctor and I take a look and get my eyeball right in there. And sometimes there's that little thing that's at the top there. I look at it like another set of inner lips. You know what I'm saying? It kind of looks like pottery. You know what I'm saying? You know how you're like making a new pot and it kind of has like that, like, this is insane. Like when I feel it with my tongue, it kind of feels like, do you guys know those like little, you know, the things that like stick on the wall? There's like little cups, you know what I'm saying? The tiny little ones. That's how it kind of feels like to me on my tongue. You know what I'm saying? You're like licking it and it's like rubbery and it's like a little, what? I don't really know. I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe I don't know where it is either. I don't know. Your best shot. Just keep rubbing it. I don't fucking, it's somewhere in there. This one's great. Short king strategies for cuffing. Listen, you've come to the right place, because I will say this, granted, my last situation didn't really work out, and it is what it is, but I will say this. For the most part of my life, I've definitely been great with the women. And I will say most women in my life, like, I do get the first crack, right? Eventually I get them to their husband. I told you guys, I have this thing where like I date the girl, I pretty much ruin the relationship. I run away, and then they meet their husband. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen in this previous situation as well. So I at least get the first shot. So it means I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting there. And I think here's the strategy for the short kings. Number one, you cannot think about your fucking height when you are talking to a girl. Do not bring it up. Do not act like it's a thing. Right? You have to have the fucking energy like you were 6'4". It's all about your energy. It's all about your confidence. To be honest, I understand women care. They do care. Let's be honest. Do we want some girl that doesn't look healthy? No, you don't, right? We're not going to fuck with that. They can have a preference. There's nothing wrong with a girl not liking you because you're short. But I will say this. A lot of girls, I guarantee you, yes, when they first look at you, are they going to be like, whoa, this is the hottest guy ever? No, they might not. But if you got fucking riz, if you got confidence, if you got game, if you got energy, and you keep showing up and you're fucking relentless with your kindness and your fucking love and your energy, you could turn any girl into a lover girl. You could, no matter what height you are. You can't be scared. And here's another big tip. Girls are going to pick on your height. When you're a short guy, girls are going to say something. They are. Every single girl I've ever dated has made some sort of comment at some point. You cannot get fucking phased. That is the key, because they're looking for you to be a little insecure about it. You got to exaggerate it a little bit and then let it go. Be like, oh, I'm short. Be like, sorry. I guess if you want taller, go find him. You know what I'm saying? It's just not me. I am who I am. You got to learn to roll with it, right? If you get offended and insecure about it, you're toast. You're toast. So I would say 2 big tips. Number 1, big dick energy, right? You got to show up like you're 6'4". The other thing too is I would say is work on your wellness, right? The healthier you look, the more in the gym you are, the more you're taking care of yourself, the better off you are. Your resources matter. Your body matters. If you could take care of those 2 things that are within your control, you're going to be fine. Don't let your ego get the best of you either though. You know what I'm saying? Because it is what it is. I think any human being, but especially for short guys, like, there's times where, again, people are going to talk their shit and say what they want. You're going to see stuff online. Just accept it. Just let it go. You know what I'm saying? Love yourself. Love your body for the way that you look. Like, to be honest, like, yes, would I have loved to be taller? For sure. But at the end of the day, it's like, I love my body. It's gotten me this far. I feel great. I look great. And it is what it is. If somebody doesn't love me for that, then they're not my person. Okay, cool. Keep it moving. And if you don't appreciate, what I really love about being short is this. I know that the girl that is with me has to love me for more than just my looks. And I'm not saying I'm ugly. I'm just saying, like, I know I'm not a conventional 6-foot guy. I know there's more to me than just that. And it keeps you humble. It really does. It humbles you. But it is cool because I'm like, if some girl's fucking with me, I know there's more to it than just, again, my height, which is a big deal because there's some people that will just chase that. How many women do you see online? Oh, when he's 6 foot and over, it's like, shut up, bitch. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shut up. And because if that's what you're going for, guess what? Leave those girls to those guys. Those relationships, I can't even imagine the conversations of what's going on there. To be honest, I don't want a relationship like that. Biggest turnoff a girl can do on a first date. Okay, I was thinking about this one. I think the biggest turnoff to me is some girl that's trying too hard. That's the biggest turnoff for me. Because we're talking about a first date. I don't really know you, right? But if you are if you are trying to portray this character, and I feel like I could tell, like you're really trying hard to impress me, I'm like, woo, I do not fuck with this, right? I really prefer the girl that like can mildly dress down a little bit, can relax a little bit, is going to like joke. Of course she's going to be nervous. Like you're going to be nervous. I just went on a first date this week and this girl she admitted it, right? She's sitting down. She's like, honestly, I'm scared. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't know who I was, which is great. She actually picked me up in the coffee shop. She gave me her number, which is sick. I'm like, yo, see, Short King strategies. We're talking about this. Maybe you just got to be hot. Anyways, she gives me her number. I don't, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't know I'm on social media or anything like that. So I think that amped it up too. When she kind of found that out, she asked me what I was doing for work. I could tell she was getting a little bit more nervous, but she was so authentic and real, and I loved it. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's a massive turnoff when like I go on a date with someone. I honestly, I can already tell most of the time. I don't think I'm even going to go on a date with a girl that I feel like would try too hard. You know what I'm saying? I already know those girls. I could tell like typically from your social media, like, you know what I'm saying? Like how serious you take your image. And for me, for a lot of those people, they really struggle to be actually vulnerable. And I don't want that. I want somebody with depth. I want somebody with personality. So for me personally, my turnoff is the trying too hard. And again, you could also see that in the personality. Like I could tell like some girls are like really trying to impress me. And I'm just like, nah, just like be you, right? Just whatever that is. And I feel like there's a huge difference. Is he really socially awkward and shy or just not that into me? I'm going to answer this one very simply. If you want to know if he's into you, say something, make the move. Like, I really don't understand this. And we were talking about the being vulnerable piece. The truth is, a lot of you guys are just afraid. And I understand you don't want to come off masculine. I understand you don't want to come off too strong. Show your intentions, though. It is what it is. If he doesn't really like you that much, make him say it to you. If you feel that it could just be he's a little bit shy and whatever, you can show him a little bit of patience, but definitely show him interest, right? Don't sit there and wait for him to make the move. Because if he is truly scared, then give him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? What's the harm? That's what I want to understand. You know, again, I don't want you to do too much, right? You don't need to be like fucking throwing yourself at him, but tell him you want to hang out, right? You know, ask him to do something one-on-one. See how he reacts to that. I understand, like, again, this is just the fear of rejection, but what are we talking about here, right? Like, it's just a fear of vulnerability. It's just a fear of disappointment. If he doesn't really like you that much, he's just going to tell you and show you. That's where I'm at in my life, where I'm like, I'm no longer wondering, whoa, does they like me? Do they not? Like, whoa, like, yes, there's going to be some uncertainty in a relationship. And I'm not saying just like blow through the boundaries and just, you know, not, you know, give a fuck about, how would I say it? Having a little bit of space and allowing the attraction to build and building a little bit mystery. I understand that part. But show him energy. You know what I'm saying? You could find that answer out if you made a move. Like I said, the girl in the coffee shop this week, right? She gave me her number. We went on a date. I've been hanging out with her. I've been talking to her. And I love that confidence. I love that energy. Imagine if you're a girl that's sitting in, you know what I'm saying? You just don't make a move because you want him to do it. Why? Because, again, am I less masculine because she did that? Is she more masculine because she gave me her number? Her sister actually gave me the number. She was so nervous. She wrote her number on a piece of paper and she left. And her sister came up to me and dropped it on the table and said, hey, my sister thought you were really cute. Whatever. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, get uncomfortable. Shoot your shot. Be vulnerable. We have nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? The truth is the truth. And that's what I'm saying. This whole time with this girl that I've been talking to, it was just resistance. I should have done that months ago. I should have just showed up and said, hey, here's where I'm at. I still like you. You don't like me? Okay, cool. You're seeing somebody else? Okay, cool. My rumination would have been resolved a lot earlier. So if you're in this position where you're ruminating, does he like me? Does he not? Why don't you just put yourself out there? Why don't you just ask? Why don't you just get curious? And not in a fearful way. Right? To me, there's a difference between showing up in fear and questioning and saying your intentions and saying a statement. So if you want to know how somebody feels about you, instead of asking them, hey, how do you feel about me? Why don't you speak from your feelings? Hey, yo, I think you're really cool. I would love to hang out with you. That's a lot different than, do you like me? One is setting the intention about what you want and the action of love. And the other one is curiosity and fear, right? The other one is a place of confidence. Hey, I like you, actually. I would love to spend time with you. What do you think about that? That is much different than you asking them how they feel. Because then you're putting them in a position where they need to be vulnerable first. And that's not fair. So you get what I'm saying? It's like we always want the other person to be vulnerable first because we are scared of rejection. But if you can overcome the fear of rejection and the fear of disappointment and just allow yourself to be vulnerable with everyone and everything, yes, are you going to experience that sometimes? Definitely. But you're also going to experience success a lot more than other people too. And that's the name of the game in life in general. You show up, you put yourself out there, you put your artwork out there. Yes, some people are not going to fuck with it, but on the other side, you're going to find success at some point. This is just the key to life. Vulnerability, being honest, showing up, trusting yourself. Let's get to it. All right. Last one, and I'm going to do, this is an audience question, and this one's a little bit deeper, I would say. I really like this question because to me, it's almost like a lack of self-awareness, and I'm just going to preface it with that. So I'm not going to call her out, and I'm not going to say the name, of course. But here we go. She said, am I the one at fault? ? So keep that question in your mind. Am I the one at fault? She said, I think I am, but I've been obsessed with the guy for years now, and we always go back and forth with each other, repeating a cycle. And the reason I was stuck, I think it was because I had so many expectations and potential for this man because I see those things within myself. So what she's saying is she has this cycle with this guy and she sees all this potential in him and she has these high expectations for him. And I know he can get on my level, but he just doesn't want to. Interesting statement. I don't know if he's intimidated by me or by how much I'm asking of him, and that's why he keeps dating basic girls. I'm way prettier and smarter than them, which is fine, but it kills me that he never picked me. I was never the one, even though I know our connection is strong and our ability to grow is incredible. We could have been a power couple. Help. So there's a lot to unpack here. And here's the thing, right? There's a couple really telling things to me. And I'm just going to point out the things to me, like as a coach, right, that are really telling. First off, you're saying you're back and forth in this cycle. So I'm assuming that he has like little flirtatious moments with you. I don't know if you guys have hooked up or whatever. And it sounds to me like during these years, he's dated other girls outside of you. But you have these expectations and this potential for him. And you're saying that he doesn't meet that, which is interesting. So you're the one that's creating this facade in your mind, first off, right? So you're saying he has all this potential, but if he's not actually doing that or he's not actually there, it doesn't mean shit. You know how many girls have this hope that this guy is going to be something that they're really not? You are what your record says you are. You know what I'm saying? It is not about potential. I'm sure he's got potential. Everybody's got potential. But who actually puts the work in? Who actually shows up? That's all that fucking matters. It's not about who has potential. You got to be really honest with yourself in that regard. And then you say, I don't know if he's intimidated by me or by how much I'm asking of him, and that's why he keeps dating basic girls. So what you're saying is you think the reason that he's dating basic girls is because he's just not on your level, right? And listen, there could be some truth to that. And the reason I say that is this, right? Sometimes girls that are high energy and high motivation, here's what happens. And here's what the truth is. You are dating this guy or trying to date this guy or you're obsessed with this guy that isn't on the same level of motivation as you. And here's what happens. When you're a highly motivated woman and you're trying to date an undermotivated man, the problem is this. You do bring a lot of expectations onto him because you're highly motivated, right? You want somebody that's going to kick ass. So what do? You tell the unmotivated man how to move, how to work, how to get better. And here's the problem with that. The unmotivated man doesn't feel admired. He doesn't feel trusted. Actually, the reason he's not dating you is because probably in his head, he's probably just like, I don't want to be with this girl. You know how annoying that is to be with somebody that is telling you how to live your life? And especially as a man, the masculine feminine dynamic is fucked up. I tell my coachees this story all the time. And this is, I think will help you a lot. So here's how a man wants to feel. So take the example of the man slaying the dragon, right? You're the princess stuck in the castle. There's the dragon and the man wants to come into your life, kill the dragon, and save you. That's how a man wants to feel. We want to feel like your savior. We want to feel admired. We want to feel trusted by you. Now, if you're the woman in the castle, right, And let's just say hypothetically, you're like, use the poison, kill the dragon with the poison. And then he kills the dragon with the poison, right? He still saves the day, right? And you still go back home. But what happens? Is that man truly happy? The truth is no, because you told him how to solve his problem. He still doesn't feel trusted and admired by you. And that's the problem with highly motivated women with undermotivated men, is that you try to solve their problem and ultimately they don't trust you, and that's why they don't show up for you. But the truth is, they're never going to meet your expectations. So here's the thing, you can't work on potential. If you're a highly motivated woman, find a highly motivated man. You can't be with somebody that's not on your level, because it is the truth. And it's not just the fact that he's intimidated by you. It's the fact that you're fucking annoying trying to solve all my problems. And I don't want to, that's the reason he's dating basic girls, quote unquote, because at least he feels admired. At least he feels trusted. At least he feels like the man in the situation. There's a lot of women that are like, I'm in my masculine energy. Yeah, because you know what it is? You're dating guys that are not on your level. And the reason that you don't date guys that are not on your level is because you like that safety. That's the truth. That's what I find with, I really work with a lot of highly motivated women. And you know what I find is a pattern for them is they date these guys that aren't on their level, point blank. And you know why? And here's my theory. My theory is because it's safer to date a guy that's not on your level. That's the truth. Because a guy that's super highly motivated, guess what? You're going to be challenged in ways that you haven't been challenged before. And that's what's happening in this situation. You're obsessed with this guy that's clearly not on your level. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get him there, but he has to be the one that wants that. It can't be you doing that. But again, why are you chasing after somebody that's not on your level already? And again, because to me, if you were to date him, you would feel safe. You would feel safe because you'd feel like, well, I'm doing better than him. So it feels good. It feels good to know that he won't leave me because, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I'm a catch to this guy. But the truth is it never really lasts because that guy ultimately gets turned off by you. He gets turned off by you because you're telling him how to solve his problems and what to do. And you don't trust him. If you solve a man's problem, you're showing to him you don't trust him. So that's why you can't date somebody that's not on your level. Because that masculine feminine dynamic is going to get fucked up. So you could keep riding on this potential, but to me, what you need to do is let go of the obsession, recognize that he isn't on your level. And if he wanted to level himself, guess what? If he wanted to level himself up, guess what? He needs to do it for himself. And actually, I think you would have way more success letting him go than trying to force him to be on that level and tell him how to be on that level with you. Because I'm sure he tells you things like, and this is the best part, all highly motivated women that are in their masculine, all this shit, what do they hear from men all the time? Oh, you're too good for me. Oh, you know what I'm saying? You work too much. You do too much. You're just too much. But that's the thing. It's just like, again, they're not up to standard with you. They're not up to par with you. So that's what you're going to experience. And again, that dynamic is never going to last. It's not. So my whole thing is if you let him go, if he wanted to grow and get on your level, quote unquote, and then meet you there, he has to do that for himself. And guess what? The best part is he's solving his own problem. You're not doing it for him. Then it might feel more balanced for him. It might feel like, oh shit, okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing me. And you actually gave me this space to do me. You gave me this space. And actually, here's the best part is by not solving his problem and by not putting expectations on the low motivated man, you're forcing him to take accountability for his side. You actually want you want to motivate your man more as a highly motivated woman. Stop solving his problems. Stop telling him what to do. Let him do it for himself. Let him figure it out for himself. And if he doesn't figure it out for himself, set a boundary. Don't solve the problem. Hold him accountable. If you hold him accountable, that's the only way he's actually going to grow. Because it's either get off the fucking pot or take a shit. I said that fucking phrase wrong. It's take a shit or get off the pot. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. That's what you have to do. If some guy is not on your motivation level, you say, okay, here's what I need from you. I would love to help and support you here, but I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to let you figure it out. I'm going to let you handle it. And then you give it time. You give it time. You see if he can get himself out of the hole. If he can get himself out of the hole, you continue to support him. If he can't get himself out of the hole and you're still paying his fucking rent, break up with that motherfucker. Point blank. Because it's never going to resolve itself then. That's just my 2 cents. All right. That's my podcast. I hope you guys had a good time. It was podcast 50. I don't know what to do with that. I love you guys a lot. Be more vulnerable. I think that's the overwhelming theme here. And yeah, I'm going to do my best to feel better, to get back into my mojo, to get back into my flojo. That's so sus. But if you ever want to work with me, you know how to find me. Go to my website, check it out. I love helping people. This is what I do. And yeah, I really do appreciate you guys a lot. I see the comments, I see the DMs. I want you guys to know that anybody that listens to this podcast, it really does mean a lot to me. It really does. And I just want to say, it's 50 podcasts. It's like a milestone. You know what I'm saying? That's almost a year, 52 weeks in a year, right? Like we're really close. So I'm sure it's been more than a year of this podcast now, which is actually wild. And yeah, through thick and thin, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to show you guys who I am. And I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon.